I hate long intros. You can read the title. Let's get into it. At point guard, we got new addition Kyle Lowry. I think I was wrong about Kyle Lowry. Now, when the Heat acquired Kyle Lowry, I didn't think he sucked. I didn't think he was trash. I certainly wasn't a fan. Everybody's talking about, oh, Lowry adds this and he adds that and he has veteran leadership and he can give Jimmy and Bam breaks and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, you're adding that, but you're also losing Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic was a pivotal piece for this team. Everybody knows in the bubble run, he was our leading scorer before he got hurt against the Lakers. So, yeah, you're adding all these things with Lowry, but you're also losing Goran. Sure, they got marginally better, but I wasn't sure it was enough to make them a championship contender. But I will say, now that the preseason's concluded, we got to watch Lowry in a couple games. The difference that he makes, it just stands out. I was watching one of the first games he played, and he's out there. It looks like he's dominating. And I go and check the box score. He has 2 points, but he has 7 assists in 7 minutes. And if you go in the looks that he's creating for Bam, the looks he's creating for Duncan, everything I heard about him was right. He really just does make it so much easier for everybody else out there on the floor. Not to mention, of course, he is a great defender, and Spoelstra likes to switch everything. So I like Kyle Lowry. I think he's going to be a big part of this team, and I've already seen the difference he's made in the preseason, and I will miss Goran, my sweet little Gogi. I will miss him. Kyle Lowry looks like he's going to be huge for this team. Not afraid to say I was wrong about him. I'm going to move on next to the shooting guard, my boy Duncan Robinson, as you can see right here.
This is an Anthony DiNardo special.
Yeah, my boy Duncan Robinson. We on a first name basis. I love Duncan, man. People say he's overpaid, which I guess he's a spot up shooter, yeah, but it will just be nice to say we have a shooter, we have someone that can stretch the floor, because I know if we were to let Duncan walk, there was going to be times this year saying, man, we could sure use Duncan right now. Ideally, I'd like to see 9 attempts a game on 40% shooting, which is, insane. You're talking like greatest marksman of all time stuff. But I'm hoping that's what Duncan could be. Moving on to the starter small forward, my man, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, he's the real deal. He really is the real deal. Seeing what he did in the bubble in the 2020 finals, really the whole playoffs, but specifically the finals, going toe-to-toe with LeBron James, not only guarding him, but also on offense just going crazy. That solidified him to me as one of the greatest players in this league. I don't know, top 5, top 10. I'd have to think about it, but I don't think he gets enough credit. I think he gets a lot of hate, undeservedly so, because every team he leaves gets worse, and every team he goes to gets better. And everybody's talking about, oh, Jimmy Butler brings all this drama and stuff. The Heat seem to be doing just fine. Go look at Philly. Go look at Brooklyn. I ain't need to get into that, okay? The Heat seem to be doing just fine, and everybody gets along here. They all love each other, and, they're winning. I'm ride or die with Jimmy till the wheels fall off. Moving on to the starting power forward position, we got PJ Old Man Sneaker King Tucker. Yeah, I don't like PJ, man. I don't. And I get a lot of hate from some of my other boys that are Heat fans because they like PJ. I didn't like it when we signed him, and I still don't like it now. PJ, man, he's a good defender. That's what he does. Problem is, Jimmy and Bam are 2 of the most elite, greatest defenders in the league. If you're playing a team like Milwaukee, I want Bam guarding Giannis. I want Jimmy guarding Middleton. I don't want PJ Tucker guarding them. He's good. He's just not as good as the guys we already have. Bam is, in my opinion, the best defender in the league. I want him to showcase that to his fullest potential. And I know there's a time and place for it in the regular season. If you could have PJ guard him, that gives Bam some rest. But still, I think PJ does one thing well that they already do really well, but I really think that you could have found somebody better. Moving on to the starting center position, we got Bam Adebayo, the man ready to make another leap this year. He said he wants to be a shooter. He shot 0 threes in the preseason. I'm disappointed about that, but he looks aggressive. He said he wants to be aggressive. Problem is, he said the same thing 100 times last year. We didn't really see it so much. When you did see it, he scored 40 points in Brooklyn, hit a game winner when Brooklyn came to Miami. You saw aggressive Bam. He's dominant. There's no reason Bam can't average 25 and 10. I just want to see that aggressiveness from him, and I think we'll get it. I love Bam. I think he's on his way. Well, he already is one of the best centers in the league. I think he's on his way to be one of the best players in this league. He really doesn't have no weakness at this point other than his 3-point shot, but he's obviously very athletic. He can guard 1 through 5. Best defender in the league. Side note, anytime I hear somebody say Rudy Gobert is better than Bam Adebayo, if you want to be discredited immediately and never have another basketball discussion with me ever, say Rudy Gobert is better than Bam Adebayo. I will never entertain another thing you say. We can go our separate ways. It's fine. I mean, there's an argument to be made that Bam will be the leading scorer on this team. If Bam is not the leading scorer, there's an argument for the top sixth man, Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is another guy in the Heat I think gets way too much hate, especially from Heat fans too, which is disappointing to see. Everybody's going based off the bubble and how great he was in the bubble, and they think there was a letdown last year. I mean, if you look at the numbers, Tyler Hero averaged 15 points a game on efficient shooting, and you're talking about a 20, 21-year-old, okay? If you get a 21-year-old on any team off the bench, 15 points a game on efficient shooting, you take that 10 times out of 10. Not to mention he's clutch, he has a shot, he's not afraid of the big moment, and he's a 3-level scorer. Not really anybody else on the Heat that's a 3-level scorer. You look at Jimmy, he's more at the rim and mid-range. Same with Bam, Lowry's a little bit of everything, but still, you look at him as more of a facilitator than a scorer. Tyler Hero, we've seen off the dribble 3, catch and shoot 3, a little floater from the midi, pull up midi, and of course, he's a great finisher at the rim, left hand, right hand, and he's shown some bounce too. Like, he's shown some balance. Sometimes I've been seeing him get up. I'm like, okay, Tyler Johnson, for all my Heat fans out there, but still, he's a 3-level scorer. He's going to be huge for this team. I really think he's going to have a really great year. He has a kid now, so maybe that helps. They say when Jason Tatum had his son, he got a lot better. Maybe we see that with Hero too. I don't know, but either way, I think Hero's in for a big year. I'm a big fan of his, and I think people give him way too much crap. Next, I'm going to move to one of our first bigs off the bench. We got Markieff Morris. Probably the slightly worse Morris brother, but I'll take it. To tell you the truth, when we first got both him and PJ Tucker, I kind of wanted to see Keith start, even though I knew PJ Tucker would most likely start. Basically, I know PJ's a better defender, but his offense is literally a 0. Something I forgot to say about PJ Tucker, one of the reasons, maybe the biggest reason I dislike him, back in the day, I'm talking like 2015, 16, back when I was in high school, we was playing FanDuel every day, me and the boys. This man, PJ Tucker, used to get negative fantasy points. And I would still pick him up. And this happened on multiple occasions. You know how hard it is to get negative fantasy points? Basically, you have to have no points and a bunch of turnovers. And I'm still kind of salty at him from that because he kind of screwed me over a couple times. But Markieff Morris, I'm a fan of him. Everything you hear, he's wanted to be here a long time. And if there's one thing that I really like, it's when a guy wants to be here. That's when you're going to get your all from them, and they're really going to try their hardest. And also, watching Kelly Olynyk all those years that he was here, as a player, just seeing him close out on guys and get blown by constantly was the most frustrating thing. He's just a very slow white guy, which I relate to, so I probably shouldn't hate on him. But regardless, having Morris who can defend and also stretch the floor is nice. Next, I'm moving into our backup center, Dwayne Dedmon. The dead man rises. Man, when the Heat, another guy, I'm not afraid to admit, when the Heat signed Dwayne Dedmon last year, I didn't like it. I said he's a big stiff. I said he can't move. He can't do nothing. I'm sure there's better other options out there. But he came to this team, and, he was playing, 14 minutes a night? But he was playing his butt off, man. The 14 minutes he was out there, he was going nonstop, balls to the walls. And that, he really earned my respect there. And he shot efficient, good at rolling to the rim, great lob threat. Him and Jimmy's chemistry was just phenomenal. And, he's going to play a small role off the bench this year. Again, limited minutes. But I think he's going to play well, and he has a lot of size. Maybe you could put Dedmon in there, rough him up a little bit, get some boards, and help prevent offensive rebounds from the other team, which was a huge problem too. So I like Dedmon a lot. Great addition to this team, and fit-wise, I think he's perfect. Next, we're moving on to the Strus is loose. Max Strus, man. Did I hit that note? I don't know, man. Y'all could let me know. But Max Strus, man, the Strus daddy, this is my experience of learning Max Strus over the last season, year and a half. First preseason game with the Heat, I don't know how many people remember, he sucked. I specifically remember sending a text saying Max Strus is the worst Heat player I've ever seen. And then his second preseason game, he lit it up. And from that day forward, it's funny, I go to the courts, I'm balling every now and then, and every time I shoot, I would scream, preseason 2, Max Strus, just because that's how dominant he was that game. He's not just a shooter. He led the league in field goal percentage at the rim. He didn't really have the attempts, but if you just go based off total, he was very good. He was in the high 90s. His 3 is not just catch and shoot like Duncan. I mean, he'll take you off the dribble. He can dunk on you. I mean, ask John Wall. He really solidified himself as a scorer. And the other thing I love most about him is his confidence. He was not afraid to shoot last year. Max Strus in the summer league, you can see he was dominant in the summer league, which is a perfect sign, okay? Because yeah, you're playing against the 14th, 15th guys in the league, G League players, guys that aren't going to make the team, but he was a step and above those guys, a step and above beyond those guys. In the preseason, I think I saw the other day, he was shooting like 40-something% from 3 on over 5 attempts a game, which is great. And his stuff at the rim was still really efficient. So I'm a huge fan from Max Strus, and I'm looking forward to him having a big year. Next on this list, we got Gabe Vincent. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you again, man. I'm not a fan of Gabe Vincent. It seemed like every time he would check into the games last year, the opposing team went on like a run. He does some things well. Surprisingly, he showed to be a good defender. That's not something I expected from him. He was getting a lot of fouls. He would chuck up a lot of shots, which really bothered me because you're not Duncan. And there'd be times, I'm watching the game and I check the box score and Gabe Vincent has 7 3-point attempts and Duncan has 2. That should never happen. Yeah, I know there's a little more to it than it's not as basic as looking at the box score, but some of these shots Gabe Vincent was taking. There was one point last year, it was a big moment in the game, and Gabe Vincent came off a curl and he was ready to pull up for like a fadeaway 3. And as soon as he did, I was about to jump up and scream no, but Spo called timeout right away because he saw the same thing I did. So yeah, his shot selection needs to be worked on. Yeah, he hustles on defense, but I don't think there's much more to him than that. And they want him to be backup point guard. He's not a facilitator. He can hit the open 3 and he can try really hard on defense. Other than that, I don't really think he does much. If he can work on the 2 things he does really well and do them well, he could be a good player for this team. But again, that remains to be seen for me. Moving on to Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo, he could be the piece that makes or breaks this team, ascends them into championship level. Because if he comes back and plays at even 80% of prime Oladipo, 70% of prime Oladipo, even if we got what he gave in Houston last year, that is huge. To have a guy off your bench that can score 20 points a night and lock down one of the other team's best players off the bench. I love Oladipo. He wanted to be here. It was clear he wanted to be here for years. I love when a guy wants to be here because he's going to try his hardest, he's going to sacrifice, and he's going to do what it takes for the team to win. It's hard to judge him until we see how he looks coming back from injury. But if he is what he was or close to it, huge. Love him. We got KZ Akpala, the guy that gave up 3 second-round picks for and do absolutely nothing for this team. Max Strus dominated the summer league. KZ Akpala did absolutely nothing against lower competition. To me, that's the sign that he's on the level of that lower competition. Even in the preseason, you saw in the game against Atlanta when he got a bunch of minutes, I think he ended up shooting 4 of 13. The potential's there. I get what they wanted to do with him. He hasn't shown it yet, which is unfortunate because you could have had Bol, who's also not doing anything. Bleacher Report all the time posts these Bol highlights and be like, oh, Bol is popping off. And I checked the box score. He's like 2 of 8. But yeah, he's Bol and he's tall and he could dribble a little bit. But they like he's going off. Sometimes Bleacher Report just picks these players that they want to ride. For no reason whatsoever. Bol is one of those guys, but still, I'd rather have Bol and our 2 second-round picks instead of KZ and none of those picks. I mean, KZ's still young. He's played in 2 summer leagues already, which he hasn't done anything. He can defend, but on offense, he's just way too sloppy, doesn't have any rhythm. He can hit the open 3, even though his percentage wasn't great last year. Not a huge fan of KZ. I don't think he's going to do much this year, but I guess he's still young, so maybe one day. We got my boy Udonis Haslam. You will never hear me say a bad thing about Udonis Haslam ever. He's one of the most inspirational people in my life. He can never do no wrong, at least in my eyes. Any Heat fan that doesn't want Haslam back is ungrateful. Who do you want? You want another Gabe Vincent on that spot? You want Javonte Smart? You want Drew Smith? I mean, who do you want? I mean, Michael Potter. But anyways, Haslam, he essentially is another coach. He's getting paid a lot. Yes, but you're not going to get anybody better than him, And I think he does a lot for this team. I think having a player that can talk to guys instead of just a coach can go a long way. On a minimum contract, last spot guy. I love Haslam. Never hear me say anything bad about Haslam. Hopefully he gets some PT again this year because the 3 minutes he played last year versus Philly were some of the most fun minutes that I've seen in a long time. So hopefully he gets some PT. Haslam's a GOAT, man. I can't wait till they retire his jersey. But I can't wait because he can play for the Heat as long as possible. I can wait. And now, last but not least, we got Omare Yertsevin. Last year they signed him like the last day of the year, like they did Kendrick Nunn the previous year. Didn't know anything about Omare. But just from watching the preseason, I mean, oh, God, I fell in love with this man, pause. He can do it all. He has no weakness in my eyes outside of he's a little slow, And because of that, he commits a lot of fouls. But his jump shot is great. Off the pick and pop, his three, beautiful. A little bit of step back midi, a little bit of post fade, okay? He'll dunk on you, okay? And that's just on offense. On defense, we see him rolling to the rim, blocking shots. You know, we see him staying with the big. We see him covering some ground with his feet, even though he is a little slow. I'm a huge fan of Omare Yertsevin. Honestly, I've told a couple people this already. I think he's starting by January. I think you're going to see Lowry, Duncan, Jimmy, Bam, and then Yertsevin at the 5. Just the fit is too perfect. Can we talk about his rebounding for a second? We all know how bad the Miami Heat's defensive rebounding was last year because they gave up a ton of offensive boards. But Yertsevin, he's like a magnet out there. He's in the game for 2 seconds. I checked the box score. He got 8 rebounds. He just sucks them all in. Pause. Anyways, so I'm a huge fan of Yertsevin. I think he's starting by January. Remember, I said this. Moving on to the two-way guys here. We got Caleb Martin. Surprise pickup. I get it. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know why I said that with such emphasis. Like, yes, he is the key piece. But I get it. It makes sense. It's clear they're going to want to rest Kyle Lowry some in the regular season and rest Jimmy some. So it's nice to have a veteran guy that can kind of come in and contribute some minutes as opposed to a Javonte Smart or Drew Smith, who you're not really sure what they can give you yet. But yeah, his defense has been great. Had some nice blocks. He can hit the open three, score a little bit. So if he's the guy that can give, you know, maybe Lowry or Jimmy a night off here and there, I'll take it. And last, the final guy we have on the roster, the final two-way spot, we have Marcus Garrett. It was evident from the beginning of Summer League this year that Marcus Garrett would earn himself a two-way spot because he has a giant tattoo across his forehead that says Heat Culture. I mean, I kind of hate to say it, but he's like Patrick Beverley. He tries super hard. His defense is incredible. He will pick your pocket. He will take your cookies and get the milk. If you are not watching, he's shown he can score a little bit, hit the open three. The form is a little sus at times. A little inconsistent, but still he's shown he can hit it. Probably not going to get much, if any, playing time this year, but he'll be in the G League in a while, and if they can keep improving him, so maybe he can get some playing time next year or something, I'm super excited about that. Okay, I think that finally includes my thoughts and my opinion on every player currently signed to the Miami Heat. They just did the roster cuts a couple of days ago to get under the 15-person limit. They're going to leave that one spot for the buyout market. So eventually when that comes in March, they're going to add some to the roster. And they'll be able to get them under and still stay under the salary cap too, which is perfect. So yeah, I mean, I just want to say too, this is my first video. So if it sucks, I mean, that sucks. That does suck. It's very likely you may never see another video from me ever again. It's also not likely at all that in 5 years I have 1 million subs and you're watching me every day. I suppose it's possible, plausible even. I don't know what plausible means. I'll add the definition right here. Or I won't. It depends if I remember when I'm editing. I just love King of the Fourth Quarter, Kenny Beachum. I be watching his basketball videos all the time. And I guess he was kind of my inspiration just to start because I figure if I love talking basketball anyways, why not just, film it and upload it? But yeah, you might never see another video from me. Who knows? We'll see. I'll see you later or not. Bye.